What would you do if you came home one day and found your husband in bed with another woman? Well, this was the situation 34-year-old Stacy Tozani found herself on the 10th of February 2024. How this woman went from the house of the Lord to jail is something that came as a shock to a lot of people, especially those who played major role in her going to jail. Now, Stacy was married to a man named Emmanuel, and together they had 2 little children. So somewhere around the 9th and 10th of February 2024, Stacy had a night vigil to attend in her church. And since it was an all-night service, she did not go with her children. So around 7 p.m. on the day of the night vigil, she went alone, leaving the kids behind with her husband, Emmanuel. And it seemed as though the church wasn't so far off from their home, in an area in Gweru in central Zimbabwe. So, while Stacy was in church praising the Lord, praying for her family, and hopefully praying for her marriage, her husband, Emmanuel, was in communication with his side chick, a lady named Nancy. Since Emmanuel knew his wife, Stacy, would be in church all day till the next morning around 7 a.m., he decided to cuddle up with another woman. Now, it's not clear if Nancy was a constant side chick of Emmanuel. It is possible she was just a random woman he may have gone to pick up. But according to the story, it seemed as though Nancy was a consistent person in the lives of this couple, almost maybe so believable that Stacy might have been familiar with her. And I've probably wondered a few times to stay away from her husband. So, as Stacy was in church praying, Emmanuel, her husband, took a break from the children and left, leaving the kids in the house for a while. Then later on, when it was getting darker, he came home with Nancy and brought her directly to his matrimonial bed. So, somewhere around 4 a.m. the next morning, Stacy was still in church. It's unclear how she got tipped off, but sources believe that some of her neighbors who had been watching were the ones who gave her the information that they saw her husband coming home with another woman. However, there's also this theory that maybe Stacy deliberately went for night vigil to monitor her husband so she could catch him in the act. That is also quite possible, but we don't really know the kind of person Stacy was. However, how the night vigil was going on and they were about to wrap up, Stacy got the news that there was another woman in her home with her husband. And she did not even wait for them to pray the grace in church before she zoomed out with full force, got home, barged into the room and saw it for herself that there was another woman lying next to her husband in their matrimonial bed. It's unclear if she made a noise, but I'm sure her barging him kind of woke Emmanuel up. And instantly, it was said she ran to the kitchen and picked up a kitchen knife. However, her husband held her back, held the knife, and took her outside of the room. At this point, it was chaos. There was yelling, fighting, and shouting. But this is my problem. After Emmanuel had taken Stacy out of the room, I would assume this was Nancy's cue to run away. But for some unusual reason, or maybe she was looking for her clothes, which I doubt given how it ended for her, Nancy was still there. It is possible that everything may have even happened very fast. But since Emmanuel was holding up his wife and had taken the knife away from her, it would have been a very good time for Nancy to run away. I mean, as a side chick, even if she wasn't a side chick, as a sex worker or an ashawo, the least you could do is be ready at all points. Unfortunately for Nancy, Stacy got a hold of another kitchen knife. And this time, Emmanuel was unable to stop her. Nancy was attacked and stabbed multiple times before she could even make it out of the house. It was after she had been stabbed that she ran away, even trying to jump over the fence to leave the neighborhood, but could not get so far because the injuries were beginning to take effect. Nancy was said to have died in the streets where Emmanuel and Stacy lived. Soon the police arrived, Nancy's body was evacuated, and at this point, Stacy's eye was clear. It was now visible to her what she had done. She had just committed murder. She was instantly placed under arrest and would most likely be arraigned in court and charged with first-degree murder. This incident came as a shock to the entire neighborhood, even to her husband. And when interviewed, some of her neighbors were disappointed at her that they did not think she would go as far as killing Nancy. However, these were most likely the same neighbors that gave her the information. Now, the internet is swinging. Some people are calling out the neighbors for literally egging this woman on. Many people had said that if this was the first time, they should just have waited for Stacy to come back home after a night vigil and then maybe wait for the woman to leave before giving her the information so she could address it with her husband. Many people are suggesting that or believing that the neighbors were the ones who set it up, who most likely pushed her into doing what she did. I mean, what did they think would happen if Stacy came home and caught her husband in bed with another woman? There were other group of people who were most likely saying that maybe he has been caught multiple times and they had given her the space and him the space and maybe told her later on, but she never believed because obviously I would assume Emmanuel would deny. So maybe this time they thought it was best for her to say it herself so that she wouldn't say they were lying. Some people are faulting the neighbors for being too nosy, while others said, well, Stacy's action is on her and that the neighbors did not do anything wrong for letting her know what her husband was doing. But it's just unfortunate. We've talked about this so many times on our channel that no man is worth fighting your fellow woman over. Even for the men too, no woman is worth killing your fellow man. And now that Stacy have committed this murder, Nancy is dead. She will go to jail. Her husband, Emmanuel, will be home with another woman by the next day. The women in his life, the main chick and the side chick, are both gone, but he's still there. And it will not take long before another woman occupies that bed all over again. What's just so unfortunate and sad is that if Emmanuel decides to move on, another woman will still be the one raising the children. That belonged to Stacy. And hopefully she raised them well with love, because not only is Stacy losing her freedom, she's also going to lose her husband, her home, and her children. It's just unfortunate. I really hope this story helps a lot of women out there. I really hope many people learn from it that it's not worth killing for. It's not worth fighting over. Your sanity, your peace, your freedom, your health should be your priority. Who your husband or your wife decides to sleep with is their problem. It shouldn't be something that should make people want to blow up, explode, and kill other people over. It's really not worth it. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can also turn on notification button so whenever there's a new video, you'll be the first to get notified. Thank you for watching.